You're being so
All right.
Say actors.
Linnea.
Yes.
What did you do on your film this week?
Why are you making your film? Why is it important to you? Speak to us.
I actually started thinking about
What are your likes and dislikes?
this film in general over the summer. I don't know, the whole Trayvon Martin and who was the guy in the Bay Area?
George Zimmerman thing.
No,
In the Bay Area.
Metallica.
the guy who was killed at in the Bay Area by BART cops. And there was a
on
film
New
that
Year's
was
Eve,
made.
yeah.
There was a film that was made about his last day.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Yeah, and so that I feel like I'm making this film almost in response to those films, and I don't know. The idea of like immortalizing people just because they were killed and like how it wipes away their sins. I don't know. That's what I'm doing, or why I'm doing it.
Do you think you can change something with your film?
The world.
What?
The world?
Um,
El Mundo?
I don't. I think I don't know. I would like to have people question more like the media in terms of these like horrible incidences, like not fully just take what it has to say and how people are represented. I guess that's what I hope to do. I have no idea if that will actually happen, but
That makes me think of.
Your film, Amanda.
I was thinking the same exact thing.
Why are you making your film?
Well, actually, could I say one thing about Linnea's film before we move on to
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
I just thought it's interesting because you were talking about like how the media portrays stuff, and it's like kind of more about like how art portrays these things. Because yours is like about a documentary and how you're telling that story. So like, do you feel like there's any difference between like art and the media and what you're?
Can I say something?
yeah.
But I think that ultimately both art and the media or politics or whatever it is about representation. So, and capitalism too. But it's ultimately about representation, and I think that's the issue. You know, when you represent something, it's inherently mediated and like subjective. You know, and so I think in that sense you can establish that parallel between what you're doing and between like art and media and politics. I don't know, they're all intertwined.
Yeah,
No.
and I also think my like main character in general, my filmmaker, is so influenced by what she has seen on the media. So that's where I kind of get that, is that he has been represented, and all that she really knows about him is from like the research that she has done. But it's still like this minimal,
Son of a bitch!
this minimal representation. So yeah, that's.
Wait, so why did you choose the style that you did?
Jesus Christ, what a whip pan.
I wish you had zoomed in on that when the sound.
So yeah, why did you choose the style that you did?
Are you specifically talking about like the
zooming.
the zooming? Because I feel like there's two aspects to it. It is to highlight the filmmaker's almost like inability to fully understand like what she's doing. It's like her need to like really get in there and get in on the subject. But it also is not just her need, but like I feel like the need of like people in general, the public, to learn about these people's lives and kind of like focus on it. And that's kind of like I like this whole zooming motion, and it's not just like one static shot, but it's like this movement.
Do you feel your film is like sensationalist?
I mean,
Give a one word answer.
Maybe.
yeah, I mean,
We'll find out.
I suppose.
I have a question. Whoa. Are you considering, or did you ever consider like showing clips of a fake news thing at the beginning of the film of like what Iris was taking in, or like when you're doing the intro moments at the beginning, you're going to talk about like what the media was saying, and like how are you starting the film? Do you know?
I do know. I actually
Close up on the eye.
never thought about the news media stuff. Also because I feel like it would be hard to create that in such a realistic way that to make it at least somewhat believable.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is like people know the people in this film, so people here are not going to think that it's a real thing. But I want there to be some believability, some like, could this actually happen? So
So how are you starting?
I'm starting it kind of with like a dialogue with the cameraman and the filmmaker, like getting ready to film Aaron. And it's actually, I am including some of voiceover, which I had originally thought of in the beginning, but I took out, so that's my general idea.
All right, let's move to somebody else.
Yeah.
Let's put
I think,
her?
Yeah.
Why me?
Why not you?
Because
Not
of the
really nice.
media representation.
Oh, yeah. What am I
yeah,
saying?
How do you see your
Why don't we
film?
go get the plug if the battery's
Wait,
about to
no,
die?
can you just tilt the screen to me?
Yeah, but like, talk.
Yeah, okay. What am I talking about, though?
Why you chose to make your film?
Okay. So after the Newtown shooting, I like found that when I talked to people about like where I was from, or people asked me, and I said Newtown, it was like this huge change in what used to happen. So it used to be like, oh, you're from Newton, and I'd be like, no, I'm from Newtown. But then after the shooting, it was like, oh, you're from Newtown, that sucks. And I think that it just became almost like a bad thing to be from Newtown. And so the way that I think the media portrayed the whole entire event and how it continues to portray Newtown is problematic in many ways. And so that's initially why I chose to do this film, is to kind of reinvent Newtown, or like just portray Newtown the way it actually is, and not based around the shooting and what happened. Because my whole thing is that like the shooting is one day in Newtown's history, but the town's been around since 1705, and so there's like hundreds of years of history there, and that one day shouldn't define the town's image and what the town is.
Who, like, obviously our primary audience is just going to be people on this campus, but like, who would you want to have experience your film or see your film?
I mean, the world. No, I mean, I feel like this is a film for, whoever, like the masses, whoever like heard about the shooting, because it was a worldwide kind of news coverage of it. So I think that it's important for not just people like in this country to see it, but throughout the world. Only because like I think the people that I met a few documentarians this past summer from France, and they were doing like the story on Newtown as like this like troubled like town where this huge thing happened, and like they were like looking for people crying, and so like that's not how our town is. And so I think like having this film from like a Newtown resident's perspective and like would help the world image of Newtown, I think.
have a question.
Yeah.
Why would people? What do you think people would care about your story? Like, why somebody, for example, in Colombia, like my mom, like what could she draw from your story? Why is your story relevant to tell? Why is it important to tell your story?
Yeah.
What it's so particular about it?
Well, I think like on one level of like the fact that like this could have happened to anybody, and having the sense that like when the media comes in and takes control of a situation, they have this ability to like redefine or recontextualize like what this event means to people. And so like if this happened to someone in Colombia and media went there, I feel like they would do the same thing.
So you think your story is more truthful?
Then yeah, I mean it's more, I think, honest than what the news does, because I think they have a way of going in and dramatizing an event. And I think like through like my found footage section, it's pretty evident that's what they do. Like they don't look at like the event itself. They try to kind of contextualize it by saying like it's like 9/11, it's like Columbine. So putting like these dramatized words and attaching it to the Newtown shooting made it so that it became something else. Yeah. So.
This might be kind of a leading question, but do you think, like, in addition to telling Newtown's story, you're also trying to, like, make a commentary about the media? Like, that would be why it's relevant to
No, yeah,
on
that's
like
what
more
I'm
of a
saying.
national or global scale.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like this.
But like, how are you like? Because it is. I mean, I've worked pretty closely with the film, and a lot of it is like very. So do you think that's what like the found footage section is? Or,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, and
how
I
do you
think.
plan to like convey that?
I mean, I think through the community's voiceover, because speaking with people from town, they have a very strong opinion about how the world views Newtown in a very skewed way ever since the shooting, and they are really offended that the world sees them in a certain light. And they, like, what the example they give is, like, if this happened to anyone else, they'd be feeling the same way. To, like, have people go in and completely, like, reinvent what the town is. And, like, in terms of, like, Columbine, the best example is, like, Columbine isn't the name of the town. But yet when you talk about Littleton, you just say Columbine. And so now, like, Newtown isn't even, like, our town name. It's just, like, the Sandy Hook School. And so, like, those labels that people put on a place is, I think, like, in huge part because it's easier for people around the world to be like, oh, that's just the place where the school shooting happened. It's not the place where, like, this great community lives and has all these other defining factors that matter more than this, like, a school shooting. So, yeah. Maybe I'm
Talking
making
about
sense.
stereotypes about places, what do you think the stereotype is around New Haven is?
Stereotype. Okay, well, similarly, but not really that similar, to the whole. People say Newtown, you think Sandy Hook. People say New Haven, you think Yale, but for totally different reasons. This is a really strange segue, but I see where you're going with it. Well, people associate New Haven with Yale, and with Yale, people associate things like, like higher education and intelligence, and it's a name. And Yale has done a lot of amazing things for New Haven in terms of development. The city looked like shit and was even more crime-ridden than it is now 30, 40 years ago. So, Yale has done a lot for New Haven and basically is New Haven in a lot of ways, but it isn't all that there is in the city. I've talked about this before in class. The reason I decided to do a documentary about homelessness in the first place is last year I went in and I wanted to make a documentary about New Haven. Just it wasn't about homelessness right away. Like, I didn't really know what I wanted to focus on, but I knew that there was a lot of different ways of life, a lot of different like walks of life, just sort of literally intersecting each other, walking right by each other, not really connecting. There seemed to be like a lot of disparities that were just all there together. So I couldn't really articulate very well. I still can't really now, apparently. But that's sort of what I wanted to explore in a documentary about New Haven. And then when I brought the footage to Morin, I'd interviewed like a bunch of different people, like of all different ages, and they weren't all homeless, but there was one homeless person in my initial clips, and Morin was like, I want to hear. Oh, there he is now.
Special well, what is Hi.
Hi, future self.
What are you doing?
Our video vlog.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna edit any of this.
Should I continue? Yeah, it's just one long.
Someone want to ask her a question?
And he said, yeah, ask me a question in a second. But he said, that guy is interesting, and that guy, I think, I want to hear more from him. This was Roger, if anyone remembers the film. I want to hear more from him, and I think he is sort of encapsulating that that disparity, the problem that you, like the reason that New Haven is so interesting and like what is actually worth talking about. So I continued to pursue the project, talking to more homeless people, and so now it's come to sort of a muckraking film, I guess, as we were deciding last class, looking at my rough cut. I want to get people to stop walking by each other like that and to start to like not only take notice of the incredible amount of homelessness and like wealth disparity that is just sitting right in front of them, and to maybe like care a little bit and to think about what could be done to alleviate some of that, and to take these people that are so like boxed out of society and try to create some sort of like active and positive way for them to get the training that they need, or just the encouragement that they need to reintegrate themselves back into society, because that would be I think that's ultimately what New Haven and a lot of places need. Not just those people, but the society at large would benefit from that. So
Do you think that this should be like that your film would like hopefully affect not just New Haven, but like New York City and Boston and like other urban settings, right?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about like audiences for our films.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm hoping that there's a life for my film beyond just here. And I think many of us, especially after seeing the footage, Bye. Have films that could grow legs and like find new audiences and be bigger than just, you know, our 410 film. So if that is the case, then I mean, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I would hope that people would see it and want to focus on New Haven, but also that like if anyone was to see it, they could put it into the context of their own city, or like a city that they commute to and work in, or just, I mean, it's not just cities, but that's where you find.
Yeah.
Because I think it's interesting that you. No, it was.
Okay, recording. It's recording. What?
That I think it's very interesting that, I mean, when you call it invisible, like how can it relate more broadly to a lot of other things that people just don't see, you know, like
Not just homelessness.
Yeah, not just homelessness, and even not just like, you know, the street life, but a lot of things in general, you know, like I think your film to some extent is like trying to make people like step outside of a comfort zone and like look beyond, not only like in the streets to people who are poor, but in general to like be able to take that step. And like, you know, because also the filming process was very tough, and and like, you know, it was not necessarily like the most pleasant like fun thing, you know, it was difficult. So I think it's a lot, the whole process and the film itself is a lot about, I don't know, like the invisibility in general, and film meaning or whatever.
The reason that I call it that, I think, is it's supposed to be like slightly ironic, because there's nothing invisible about these people, like literally invisible about these people. It's not that you don't see it, it's that you sort of, you could be anyone, either refuse to see it or just like, yeah, it's like a whole like stepping outside of your comfort zone thing. It's you grow up, you're trained to not necessarily see it, and or to not look at it because it's not pleasant, because it's scary, because it's different. So yeah, it's not just homelessness. It could be anything, any part of your life or of a city or a society that isn't pleasant or that needs fixing, but is almost like too daunting or too scary, or like different, like too outside of your comfort zone to even look at. So that's a part of it. I want to make people look at it, and not just like look at it like, why haven't you been looking at it, but like to see it and then to like care.
It's an important message, I think, in general. Thanks. Nice try, Wampa.
What? Nice try.
Nice try.
Can I just point out that we have more people left than we've done, and we've been like 25 minutes.
And
so
we
far.
also have like
We have
not
20
that
minutes
many
left.
battery. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Okay. Me?
Yeah, Dan.
Oh God.
Why are you making your film?
Well, I don't have all the lofty goals that apparently everybody else has.
Why did you start writing your screenplay?
Okay. Honest answer. So I was.
Then you can become analytical.
I mean, I was working on a screenplay that.
Shut up. You know what I meant. Come on.
I was working on a screenplay that I think connected to me on a personal level much more, and that I feel like was kind of doing more interesting things, to be honest. But it just wasn't really working as a screenplay, and just getting things like goals and arc and all that stuff weren't really working. So I needed to come up with a new idea. I had hammered away at that first idea so much, and it wasn't working. And I needed a new idea, and I came up with this idea, and I originally wanted it to be more about gender representation and doing more interesting things with the final girl. I don't really feel like it's doing that anymore, but I want to entertain people. I want to make something that's fun and that's enjoyable, and hopefully I'm still succeeding in that area. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
No, I'm interested because you said that, because I know that at the beginning you were because last semester part of your film was also trying to deal with the gender representation of your main character, and now that you're saying that initially you wanted that, how have you reconciled the changes in your gender representations with your film? Have you tried maybe through editing after changing some of the script to work that out or something?
I'm trying to think here. I'm still not even really sure what I just don't think I'm necessarily doing anything that what's the word I'm looking for? Subversive with this film anymore. I mean, it's sort of interesting that I have a female killer, but that's been done many times, and so I don't really know. I mean, I'm still trying to empower the female protagonist through the editing and making her active, but I don't really.
Ideas have also been known.
Yeah.
I wonder also though if I know you said a female killer's been done before and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I wonder if maybe there is a little bit of potential for this is weird talking about it because it's my character, but whatever.
Yeah.
For the killer to be
Naked.
for something about the gender or the ambiguity of not only the character, you don't know who it is, the killer, but also there's a bit of an androgynous sort of appearance, and you think a lot of the times that the killer is one of the guys, they're always pointing out the guys rather than, I don't know, I think maybe because in the class we all know, there's no twist for us, we all know it's me, not only that it's that it's Tessa, but it's also we're so taken out of the film in a way, and I wonder if you show it to a new audience, if they'll be able to pick up any sort of subversive.
Yeah.
I thought the whole point was that you thought it was the brother.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess that is a big point of the film. And it's interesting, too, because, I mean, it's true what you're saying about how everybody knows all this, and I really don't know what other people will think, because even, all my friends know everything already, because I've, talked to them from the screenwriting process about it. So I literally have no idea what, someone who has no knowledge of it will think of these things, and whether they'll immediately figure out that it's Tessa, whether they'll be surprised, and how they'll what they'll think about their
You might in making your okay, I'll phrase this as a question. Yes. It's another leading question. Do you think that when you're working on your final cut, showing the film to randos that they're people whose opinion you trust but that really would have no idea, and just getting their feedback would help you to maybe edit it or in a certain way to add more meaning, whether it be some sort of subversiveness or not?
Yeah. I mean, honest answer would be that I don't think we'll have the final scene where you're revealed done until a couple days before the film is due.
Hours.
So I don't really know. I mean, ideally, yeah, it would be great to show a fine cut of the film to random people who don't know that you're the killer and see what they think and to make some changes based on that. But based on availability of the pool and everything, I don't think we're probably going to get that 2 or 3 days before the film's due. So I think that's kind of, for me, the problem has been that the film is just so humongous that I haven't really had the time to think about the bigger issues involved. Yeah. Yeah. Like,
Speaking of humongous films, let's switch this to Wampa.
yeah. I like
Yeah, Wampa.
Because you do have a huge cast. So,
Yeah,
what
he
you
does.
longest film?
So huge.
Why these films?
Yeah, true.
And is it still?
I don't know,
Still one film or is it?
No,
Oh.
no, it's 3. Well, I think last semester when I was thinking about taking this class, I thought about, so I knew I was going already to Senegal, and I thought about doing a film about, the things that I was going to do there, which was basically working in the cultural center and doing all of this stuff. And then, am I like half cut? Whatever. And so then I thought about doing that film, and then when I came back, I had told Maureen that I was not sure if I was going to get enough.
As we always call him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't hear the professor. What are you talking about?
Sorry.
I totally said it.
He said it in Spanish.
He didn't understand.
And so I told him that I was not sure if I was going to get enough footage in Senegal because it was very random, and I also didn't know if I had a camera. I got it there and whatever. So when I came back, I realized that the footage was not good enough to do one documentary about it. But I had already been working with the Eastern Pequot since last semester, and I had this I left my project unfinished last semester, so I knew I was going to work on it on independent study or whatever it is this semester. And then I had footage from Occupy Wall Street that I had never used before. And I don't know why, I just thought that the 3 stories connected in my head in a very ethereal, non-tangible way. And after feeling that connection, I started thinking about it, and it made more sense as I was thinking about it more and more. And also because I've been working a lot with the issues of memory and power and resistance for my honors thesis, and in general it's things that interest me in my life, and I realized that they have a lot to do, the 3 stories are connected on those topics. So I don't know, that's why I decided to make it, and particularly I think it's 3 things that matter in the world to tell. There's stories about, I don't know, injustice and governments that are corrupt and that don't do what they're supposed to do, which is serve the people, and stories about people yeah, what are you doing?
Sorry, just throwing something away.
Do you think you're trash? And yeah, about people, but not only about how people are how sad it is that people are not being represented accurately, but also the hope and the strength that people demonstrate by fighting back.
You have something? You raised your hand?
I just wanted to see myself in the lens.
Okay.
No, I did. Are you worried about trying to pack too much in to one short?
Yes. Yes, but I think every time I think about a film or an essay or something, that's usually my methodology is I try to pack a lot inside, and yeah. But usually I think that works well for me because I like having more things to work from and then just try to cut it down as hard as it is, then that I like to put all my ideas out there. And so I think it's being the toughest thing obviously is being putting them together, because now that I edited each film, they kind of make sense on their own as short documentaries. But obviously now that I'm starting to put it together, it's going to be tough. But I think part of the film's philosophy is its inaccessibility, in the sense that, it's not really about understanding the stories in their ultimate historical truth. It's about relating to them in various and plural ways that each audience member will find in their experience. So I think to some extent is a little bit about the audience choosing information and the audience deciding where to draw the connections, even though I'm clearly giving certain ideological frameworks. But yeah.
So you're intentionally making certain parts of the film inaccessible, because of the.
I don't know if now
the information is inaccessible.
I don't know if now I'm saying second number 17 it's going to be inaccessible. But I think by the way that I'm editing the film, it is becoming really inaccessible in some parts because of the amount of information. But I think to some extent, you know, I think it might be just one of those films that you just have to watch more than one time to be able to like fully grasp it. But I think one experience is good, you know.
I just want to say, so if you're saying it's something that could kind of would be best experienced multiple times, I know you really don't want to make it a video installation, but if it was on a loop for hours,
Yeah.
that would really, you know, make it so people could come and get the information they want to get. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like in the gallery.
No, no, I think no, I think it will work well, and I'm working now with Professor Nadav. I think the other cool thing about this project too is that I've made it as like, as like intersectional, but also
Circular.
interdisciplinary as I've been able to do it, because I've been working like sociology professor has been helping me, and art professor has been helping me. Professor Morin has been helping me.
I'm gonna jump over that. I was like, Professor Moore.
Well, the thing is that I was gonna say like Roflo, who's Ronald Flores. I call him like that, and like Nadav, but like no, it's okay, Professor Morin. And so yeah, so I think. No, yeah, because I call them like that. But so yeah, I think in that sense been a really cool thing about the experience, and ultimately like I'm screening this film for the Eastern Pequot through the sociology department, for the film screening, and then maybe like it would be a good thing as maybe like an art piece, maybe next semester. I don't know.
Send it to festivals.
Yeah.
But like how? Because it's like three
Okay,
things.
Okay, we need to switch.
Like, whatever.
So speaking of inaccessible,
Kyle, what is your film about? In one sentence.
Kyle, what is your film about?
Existential film.
In one sentence.
It's the prequel.
How many words?
12.
12 words.
okay, this is gonna take too long. Wait, can I just ask a question? So why, did you do it with your particular dialogue? Like it's really unique.
No. I want to know what it's about first.
Well, that's gonna take I feel like a really long time.
I could draw you a picture, but I don't think he was here. What was your question? Why the dialogue? I think that I wanted the film to be sort of like polarizing in and of itself, and I felt like the experimental nature of the images went with the weird dialogue.
What do you mean by weird dialogue?
Like this sort of antiquated kind of like performative dialogue.
It sounds very biblical.
Yeah, that's why it's antiquated.
Okay, so why then did you make this film?
What's it about? Just try.
Yeah, seriously.
I've said what it's about.
Not
What
really.
do you want people
not
to take
really.
away from the film?
I really have no idea what it's
Yeah,
about.
like you never told the class like this film is about.
Yeah,
Like,
beyond
You could
religion.
put like,
Haven't
a
I?
message in people's heads, in the audience.
Yeah.
Like,
What do you want people to walk away from?
Yeah, if it was on Netflix and there was like 3 sentences to describe what
Yeah.
the film was about, what would it say?
It would say.
Well, I think the storm of questions would be visually effectively represented like that.
Wait, what?
No,
When you edit this,
the hell
make
was
all
that?
of our questions overlap each other.
just try. It's really important. Like,
Intense
What?
is the climax.
like
What do you want people to understand?
I don't want people to understand.
What do you
What do you want
want
them to
people
question?
not to understand?
I think that it's like to a certain degree, it's it's kind of related to like Hugh and Amanda's films, and even Linnea's kind of, and Elaine's. in the sense that I feel like it's it's kind of one of those it's sort of like an internal exploration of people go through their, their daily lives and stuff like that and are relatively happy, or, they have trouble with relationships, or they have trouble with this or that, and, certain things happen, you experience a death, or you experience a loss, or, a traumatic event, or, you're homeless or something like that, and to varying degrees, things happen to people that just sort of alter their outlook and, make them think more about their identity and how that relates to their place in the universe.
Can I say something?
No.
I think it's really interesting because...
In English, please.
No, I think relating it to trauma, in trauma theory, there's like this, it's like widely like accepted, the fact that trauma is something that imprints in people's either like, individual psyches or a collective imaginaries, which becomes like inherently inaccessible. And the moment you try to access it, it's through like representation. So it's mainly like mediated, subjective. It's not really the trauma. Like it's just unrepresentable. And I think in a way that's what your film makes me think about. Like the unreachability of like a full understanding of what it is to be traumatized and what it is to, I don't know, to like understand your relation to like life in general, which is kind of like a series of like minor and major traumas.
Do you have a response?
Yep.
I think we should go to Kelly.
Yeah, speaking of trauma,
I think we need to.
Linnea's segues are hilarious.
I think we need to bring the charger.
No, it's in my room. We can't.
this is not for the charger. This is we have 5 minutes left.
Okay, baby.
The court. Okay, wasting Kelly's time.
No one wants to hear me talk. What am I talking?
Why did you decide? Okay.
Well, the
This is sort of a question
So-
somebody asked you last time. Like, why did you decide that an experimental? I mean, I know you really like experimental films, but beyond just like you are good at making experimental films, that's like your shtick. Why did you decide to make this film experimental and this like in terms of its content? Like, why did you think an experimental nature was appropriate for the content of the film?
I think because I started out with like a little bit of like narrative or like cinematic reality or whatever, and the more I thought about it, the more it was just like it just didn't make any sense to me, because since it's based on a personal experience, I look back on it and none of it feels real to me, and none of it feels like it was based in reality. So having any part of it be representative of reality felt like dishonest to what the film is ultimately about.
It's like just what Wampa was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what?
So, like, I guess I wanted the film, in a lot of ways it's been kind of cathartic to make, because I never really sat down and thought about what happened because it was so traumatic and shocking. So making the film has made me try and contextualize like my own life events in a way that will then also be accessible to other people. And I guess if do I still have time to talk? Okay, if I want people to take away something from the film, it would be that obviously what happened was bad, and I look back on it and it makes me sad and conflicted and feel bad about life. But I think just because things like that happen to you doesn't mean that you have to succumb to darkness or anything like that.
Succumb to darkness is
I have a question.
We're out of time, but go. We'll see
Quickly. So your film does have this structuralist feel to it, which is very much an experimental film, which I really like. But at the same time, I think most of the structuralist films that we watch in experimental were to some extent, they were very intellectual. They were a little detached from emotion, and I think that's one of the main struggles in your film, which is part of the juxtapositions of the film. I don't know if you can speak to how you've been able to reconcile that highly intellectual